This is chapter 113 of The Flower of Freedom. Welcome. You're very welcome as long as you brought your good intentions and your good heart with you. Leave your burdens outside the door and take your seat and we'll begin. Chapter 113, Whiteout. Philippe and Bertie went back to their classes and hit the books for their final year. Bertie did take the time to show Bianca around campus, and he introduced her to his friends. Things proceeded well for about a week. At first, Marie assumed that the mess in the apartment was because Bianca was homesick. So Marie did all the cleaning, and she washed up dishes in the sink that were not hers. Bianca came home at all hours, and she made a lot of noise. So Marie found that she felt exhausted during her classes. The second week end on a Saturday morning, Marie awoke and wandered into the bathroom, only to encounter a naked man. Marie realized that he was in one of their classes. It was then that things started to derail. He looked at Marie with a leer and he said, "What? It's the 60s. Are you a square?" Marie went into the kitchen and she called her papa to come and take her to the house so that she could see the twins. She said nothing until Philippe intuited that something was wrong. He asked her pointedly what was going on. Shortly after she confided in Philippe, Marie heard Oscar on the phone with a key. Soon, Bianca's parents were paying for maid service at the apartment. Bianca became frosty to everyone in the family except for Bertie. She seemed to hate Philippe, and the twins certainly hated Bianca. When Colette tried to find out why, they would burst into tears and say, "She's ugly and she's mean." Marie lived at the apartment from Monday after school until Friday after school, and the maid came on Mondays. She told Bianca that she wanted to spend time with her family, so her father would pick her up after classes on Friday and drop her off at school on Monday morning. For a couple of months, Bertie and Philippe came with them, and they spent the weekends at the house as well. Bianca was quite popular on campus, but her grades started to slip. Marie excelled, and that became a sore spot for Bianca as well. Bianca finally found a volunteer position in the Department of Neuroscience, and she ridiculed Marie's placement with Dr. D. Bianca even spoke to Dr. D about Marie, complaining about privacy issues, because Dr. D had become her physician for birth control prescriptions. When Bianca complained about Marie, Dr. D kindly told Bianca that he could refer her to another gynecologist in the area. She had no more complaints for Dr. D, but Marie once caught Dr. D and Oscar locking eyes and shaking their heads at a gathering at Jean-Claude's house when Bianca walked by holding on to Bertie's arm. Bianca went to Uruguay for Christmas that year, and Bertie pouted. While Bianca was celebrating Christmas with her parents, they were invited to the penthouse of a wealthy man in Buenos Aires. It was an extravagant party with many prominent people in attendance. Bianca mentioned the uncanny resemblance between their host and Bertie Saint Laurent. Her father told her that perhaps they should discuss it later. When they did discuss it, Mr. Lagarde told his daughter that Mr. Schmidt had once told him that he had a son that he had never met. The boy's birth certificate was framed on Hans' bedroom wall, along with the wedding certificate to the boy's mother and a framed key. The boy's name on the birth certificate was Herbert Hans Schmidt. It was a painful issue for Monsieur Schmidt, so Jacques Lagarde told his daughter that it was not a good idea to bring it up. Monsieur Lagarde raised his daughter to hold information close to her vest and to take what she could in life because, he said, if she didn't, she just left it on the table for someone else to take. Bertie met Bianca at the airport when she returned, and he was thrilled that she was so pleased to see him. She told him that she wished she could stall going back to the poky little apartment and Marie's prudish stares, so he asked her out to dinner. She chose the most expensive place in town, and he was eager to impress her, even though it would set him back for quite a while. After that night, his relationship with Marie got ever more strained. Soon he was staying at the university every weekend to study. So he was unable to come to the house with the family and with Philippe. Not long after that, Bertie was not as happy to have Philippe as roommate either. Philippe heard rumors about Bertie handing in his papers late and the profs giving him the benefit of the doubt. When Philippe asked him what he was doing every weekend, Bertie rounded on him and he said, "You're not my nanny. Bianca told me that you were always jealous of me. I'm always so trusting of the wrong people, and man, did you have me fooled." Philippe staggered back in shock. He only had to share the room with Bertie 4 nights a week now, but it was strained. Gone were the days of recording new ideas in the bound books. Bertie barely acknowledged Philippe anymore. Philippe was not part of Bertie's new party group. Occasionally, Philippe would even complete an assignment for Bertie and give it to one of his friends to submit on time. That might have kept Bertie afloat that term, and soon graduation was upon them. Philippe was, as expected, top of his class. Bertie finished 4th, much to the surprise of his professors, who were taken aback by the sudden change in his personality. They assured one another that Bertie was still supremely gifted, but they surmised that something was going on in his private life, and it sure was. Not long before graduation, Bertie brought Bianca home and he asked to speak with the family. Without preface, he informed them that Bianca was pregnant and they were getting married in Paris at the beginning of July that year. Colette was the first to get up and kiss Bianca's cheek and welcome her to the family. Then she took the twins to their rooms because they had started to cry. Bertie turned to Philippe and told him that since he'd be going home anyway, he should be his best man. Bianca told Marie that she would be her maid of honor, since the family would have to be there as well. "No sense in flying anyone else in," she concluded. Both Marie and Philippe nodded towards Bertie, who was barely looking at either of them. Oscar shook Bertie's hand, and he went for a walk. He ended up at Dr. D's home. That's the end of chapter 113. As always, all rights to the book and my presentation of it are reserved. But as always, we are thrilled that you were here to hear it. Please consider giving us a thumbs up and subscribing so that you never miss a chapter. I remain your friend Deborah. Thanks again for coming.